Hi guys, this is Joy from Printed Bonnet by Yobi coming to you today with a very simple crustless pumpkin pie recipe that you're sure to enjoy. It's fall season and I know a lot of people love to try new pumpkin recipes or try things with the pumpkin flavor, so I figured this would be a good opportunity to at least give you something new to try. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I do low carb, which means primarily most of the foods I eat are low in carbohydrates, high in proteins. I try to limit the fats I consume, but I try to, for the most part, to stay as healthy as possible. So this is very quick and easy, and a lot of the ingredients you use for this recipe you already have at home, so you don't necessarily need to feel that you need to go out and buy something new. The first thing you're going to need is the pumpkin puree. I'm using a 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree here. And the other thing, again, because I do low carb, you're going to need about a half a cup of the erythritol. This is the sweetener you're going to use. In addition, you're also going to need some liquid stevia. If you don't have this, that's not a problem. It's optional in this recipe. I find that whenever I'm having a sweet tooth, I want something a little more sweet, and that kind of kills the craving after I've had it. But if I have something that's not quite there yet, I tend to want to try more, have more sweet things, which is usually not in my favor. So being someone who has a sweet tooth, I'm always very careful with that. Something else you'll need is ground cinnamon. Most people have cinnamon at home. And of course, this is a pumpkin pie after all, so you're going to need pumpkin spice. And this recipe also calls for heavy whipping cream. The one thing I do use, which I don't necessarily see in a lot of recipes I've found online, is I use Himalayan sea salt. Now, the reason I use it is because I find that, one, it's not just the fact that it's healthy, but also the fact that, it gives you a little bit of a crunch when you add that, and also the salty taste when you add that to your dessert recipe. So I feel like that's just awesome. So if you're just joining us, I've already added the eggs in here. You'll need 2 eggs, which I've already added. I'm sure, let me see if I can get that to show up there for you, as well as added the pumpkin puree. So let's go ahead and get started very quickly. The first thing I'm going to do is add about a half a cup of the erythritol. So this is something I purchased online. You can find it at your local grocery store. You can also find it at Walmart. Walmart if you have a super Walmart by you, or you can find it on Amazon. I've shopped on both places. The prices on Amazon are pretty good, but I've also seen great prices at Walmart, so I don't necessarily have a preference there. So that's the first thing I'm adding there. The next thing is my liquid stevia, which for this one I'm actually going to be using 1 teaspoon. So I'm just going to add a teaspoon here. And just add that in there. And then, so now that I've added that, next thing is my heavy cream. Now, of course, you want something really creamy. I find that, heavy cream, one, it's low in carbs. Actually, it's 0 carbs, depending on how much of it you have. But it also gives it a little bit of a buttery, creamy flavor, which if you ask my husband, he's going to tell you I love butter. So I try to use that as a substitute as opposed to trying to look for almond milk. Now, if you're someone who really likes the nutty flavor, please, by all means, go with an unsweetened almond milk. The reason I go with heavy cream is because it doesn't have any sugar added, so I don't have to feel like, I'm consuming more sugars, especially since this is already going to be a very sweet recipe, because I added the liquid stevia and erythritol. Okay, so the next thing is your tablespoon of pumpkin spice. This is what makes it a pumpkin pie. Fun stuff. So here you go. I just throw that in there. And then I am going to add about a teaspoon of the cinnamon. Ground cinnamon. I love ground cinnamon. I pretty much use it for any pie I'm making, and my girls love it too. So that's not much there. I gotta say, I used to be one of those people that was just like, ugh, why does everyone talk about having a pumpkin something, pumpkin latte, pumpkin tea, pumpkin iced tea, pumpkin cake, and everything in the fall? But I gotta say, as I've gotten older, and I don't know if it's because I have little ones, but they also get excited, and that also gets me more excited about things. So maybe they're influencing me. I'm hoping in a good way, obviously. And then the last thing is just about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Like I said, this is optional, but I like to add it here because I feel like it adds a little bit of a crunch to my recipe and also gives it a salty taste. And who does not love salt and sugar and salt, you know, all mixed in one. So it's like a sweet, salty flavor. This bowl I'm using is a little small, but I can show you once I'm able to get it moving a little bit, but I can show you what it looks like once I've done that. So here you go. So this is everything all in, and I'm gonna mix it. Ideally, I could use the hand mixer, but I figured you wouldn't want to hear the hand mixer sound all in the background. So I'm just gonna give this a good mix. It's a good way to get your own workout, so you feel like you're not doing something too bad. You know, prior to making this recipe, I was actually thinking about doing some kind of a pumpkin cheesecake, which every now and then I get a craving for something from the Cheesecake Factory. So I figured, hey, why not, right? Try something new. But I think this is one of those things where, you know, you see something, and I gotta say, this week has been a really, really interesting week for me. Well, interesting in the sense that I had a lot of things going on, but also interesting in the sense that we had Bosses Day, National Bosses Day. And while our entire division where I work decided to surprise all the bosses with breakfast, my team also decided to surprise us with a lunch. So I've had sweets, you know, for the most part this week, which was not necessarily the best thing. So now it's back to the grind for me and trying to do the right thing and making sure I'm not consuming too many sweets, because unlike most people, I can forgo food in favor of something sweet. So I definitely have a really, really strong sweet tooth. And I'm also one of those people that you know, whatever the button is that says stop consuming does not apply to me. I eat all of it, and then I only regret it much later on down the line. So in an effort to be good, low carb gives many options of things you can, you know, do. So I pretty much look up recipes, put things together, try them out, and then go with it. So I have a pre-sprayed or pre-greased pan right here. It's a glass pan. I like to use those whenever possible. To be honest with you, I find that aluminum pans, I don't like washing them. It's one of the things I've just never really enjoyed doing. So a glass pan is much easier. I just soak it and then, you know, come back to it, or I can even throw it in the oven. I mean, in the dishwasher rather. I can always throw it in the dishwasher, and that makes life a whole lot easier for me instead of having to go through trying to wash an aluminum pan. And I know a lot of times people like to just toss their aluminum pans, which is fine. I just feel like that's a little wasteful. So for me, I can't justify just buying aluminum pans over and over again if it can be washed. So this is my compromise here. So I just mixed this all up. As you can see, it didn't take any time at all. This is what it looks like. It looks delicious. It's creamy, and this is going to go in a 425 degree oven. I'm going to throw it in the oven and then show you what it looks like when I come back. So stay tuned.